Files hosts, its affiliates, or its sponsors.
Hey, this is Mike Couch from Lost Limbs Foundation. Make sure you check out Mike and Dave on the Odyssey Files because they really need the listeners.
Oh!
Kim, what are you doing?
Well, I'm telling Mike and Dave, it's time to get on the show.
Oh, well, the Odyssey Files starts now.
Good evening, paranormal community. It is 7 o'clock Central Time, which means you are listening and watching to the Odyssey Files here on the Cosm Network and IronRangeRadio.com. I'm your host, Michael O'Neill. With me, as always, is my co-host, Mr. David Soyring. Good evening, Dave.
Good evening, Mike. How are you on this fall Monday? It doesn't seem like a week went by. Like this last week, it just went by really, really quick. Like it feels like we just did the show a couple days ago, doesn't it? Not like a whole week went by.
Yeah, it to me feels like it's just kind of wrapped into one big beating. So
it's one way of looking at it.
But I agree with you that days are flying by.
Yeah, they're flying by. Because October went by really fast. Like the whole month.
No, I agree.
I think October flew by like 10 days, 9 days, 10 days. The whole month of October managed to fly by.
Yeah,
because
don't worry.
Like Halloween, Jesus Christ! Today's November 1st.
Unfortunately, all of the people who collect our bills do not see it the same way you do.
No, right?
They do. Yeah. They will not give you another 20 days to pay them.
Oh. Nope, they will not. No matter how nice you ask.
Yep, exactly. So this week is part 3 of 3, where we will be finishing our urban legends with the West Coast. So 2 weeks ago we had East Coast, then last week Midwest, and now we're trudging into the East Coast or the West Coast. I'm sorry.
There is a theme which I'm going to mention at the end of this hour. Like I found this this running theme for the West Coast urban legends. It's probably in I didn't count them, but I would say it's off the top of my head. It's in at least 4 different states.
Well, I mean that's a small section. So let me see here. Let me see if I can figure it out. So don't say it at the end of this hour. Let's wait till the end and see if I can. I can pick it up. Although, kind of looking over these a little bit that I have, I guess I can. I'm starting to come to a realization of what it is. So we'll see if I'm right.
Okay.
But anyway. So just because it's getting closer and closer, we are now 5 weeks away from Vegas. There's a lot to do. But I'm pretty much working 7 days a week, trying to make sure that everything is ready for everyone. And it's only getting bigger. Shockingly, like I thought I was done doing this and doing that. And it was just kind of making sure all of the small details are covered and everything is kind of set for what I have already announced. And nope, there's still more. Uh-oh. So even 5 weeks out, there's added talent, there's added sponsors, there's and these sponsors want to do like little events. And it's like I feel like it's still 7 months away and I've got like all the time in the world to like set all this stuff up. Nope. No, I don't.
No.
But
for you, November is going to absolutely fly by. Right.
Yeah.
I mean, like in 2 days from now, we'll be eating Thanksgiving
Yeah,
dinner.
pretty much.
That's what it's going to feel like
And
for you.
right. And I just want to say that even though I throughout that tirade that I just did, I kept saying me, 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 me. I just want to give a shout out to my partner in this, who I absolutely could not do half of the crap that is being thrown our way, Miss Lauren Infante. So I definitely want to just say thank you to her and everybody else who's been patient throughout this. And yeah, so good times had by all. So, all right, we got some great stories for you guys tonight. And from what I've seen, and I have not looked over all of them, I do not see one cat one, which I'm disappointed for, but I did see a mention of a Ouija board. So I guess, on the give and take,
And
it's
demon.
one or the other.
We got a demon story.
Oh, milk against demons. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can't wait for that one. I didn't even read it. I'll get to it. So everybody will have a live reaction from me. So I
It's
already can I already have like 3 different puns and stuff going in my head. So we'll see if they work.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
All right, but that's the last one. Ending on a positive note for that. And we have to go back to start at number 1. So, number 1, I've been experiencing things after a near-death experience. So this person writes, when I was a freshman in high school, I had a near-death experience due to a carbon monoxide leak in my house. I lived there with my stepdad, mom, and 2 siblings. Flash forward 2 years. I'm going to a different school in a different state, working in assisted living as a server. I experienced people yelling out my name, my clothing being tugged on, and seeing figures moving. 3 years later, now 21 years old and female, I'm working as a CNA, and I've seen figures going into empty rooms, things still calling out to me, and now I'm seeing orbs and fog-like objects in the hallways of the nursing facility I currently work at. I've told people I currently work with and my sisters, but they look at me like I'm crazy. Has anybody else had experiences like this? Am I going crazy? Absolutely not. I've obviously never had a near-death experience, which I'm very thankful for. I do not want one. I can go my entire life and die of natural causes and be perfectly all right with not having a near-death experience. But with that said, I don't think that's weird at all. I think that that's actually pretty common for people who have near-death experiences, especially when you have actually died. If you have actually died and then were brought back, as opposed to, maybe your heart stopped, but like your brain was still like you weren't actually dead, but near it. But if you have actually died, I think that's pretty common. For people not, I guess, giving up certain abilities that they have when they cross over to the other side. From what I understand, like EVPs that I've caught, or even you and I, Dave, have caught, whether it's Spirit Box, whether it's EVP, like we constantly get clips of spirits talking to each other. Not to us, not answering our questions, but talking to each other. So right. I honestly think that when you go to the other side of the veil, it's almost like a completely another civilization. You can see each other just the same. Like it's just another veil. And honestly, maybe we become the ghosts at that point in time. And so I think that when you're brought back, I think maybe a part of you have some kind of tendril left that on the other side, like you don't fully come back. And I think that allows you to see, or at least have a better chance of seeing what the other side is doing. walking into the empty rooms. Maybe to them it's not empty. And seeing all kinds of these different apparitions. You're not crazy. I definitely don't think you're crazy. And I just think that maybe, if anything, you should probably seek help in developing and controlling these abilities, like understanding them more. And yeah, that's my advice.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. I do not think that she's crazy in any way, shape, or form. We've never done a show on near-death experiences, but it'll be coming up. I'd like to do one, but I'd like to actually get some people that have had like a near-death experience and their lives have changed, and do like a really good 2-hour long show on it.
Chad?
Yeah. I think that I'm with you. I think that when you have a near-death experience and you step into that other dimension, that other realm, cross the veil, however you want to word it, I think that part of you does get left over there. And I don't know if maybe it's not part of you gets left over there, but there becomes a connection to that other side. So, our friend Cena would probably say it's a cord, and that it has like this, this high information highway going back and forth now. I met a guy some years ago now, probably 5-6 years ago, that works with my sister, that got killed in a motorcycle accident. And they pronounced him dead. And then when they got back to the hospital, they pronounced him dead in the ambulance. And when they got to the hospital, they continued to do life-saving efforts on him, and they actually brought him back to life. But I don't remember if he was dead for like 4 or 5 minutes. His life has changed drastically, and not like he's not brain damaged or anything like that, but his life has changed dramatically in how he looks at the world, what he sees. He constantly has visions, reacts differently to things around him, stuff like that. So there's something to it. I don't know what it is, but I definitely think that there's something to it. And I would agree with your advice. I'm on the same page with that. Find somebody who, and I don't think it'd be that hard to do, find somebody, a good psychic medium, who works with people that have near-death experiences, and talk about what you're experiencing and listen to what they have to say. My best personal guess would be get used to it, because I don't think it's ever going to go away. I think that there's always going to be, hearing people calling at you, seeing things that necessarily aren't there, or things that are there that other people can't see. I won't say that they aren't there, because they probably are there, and you could see them and other people can't. Don't be frustrated by the fact that your coworkers and your sisters think or look at you like you're crazy. You're just not talking to the right people, would be my advice. And it's funny that you say that, because everybody that I met throughout my hospital stays after my accident and my nursing home stays and stuff like that, once you get to know the nurses and the therapists and stuff like that, they all have stories. And if you open up to the fact that you investigate the paranormal and stuff, like, that's what I told them. And they're like, really? Wow. Well, this one time when I was working the late shift, like, everybody has a story that works in a medical facility or a nursing home. Everybody. I think the only person who didn't tell me a story was like the head lady, who was like my head doctor that oversaw everybody else. Other than that, and I'm sure she had them too. She just wasn't going to tell me them. But everybody else had a story. So I don't think you're crazy at all. All right. So
hold on. I just want to interject one thing really quick. And that is, for anybody that is listening that may want to learn how to develop skills or has an experience like that where they would like to talk to a psychic medium, a ton of them are going to be at the Vegas Para-Unity Convention, December 9th through the 11th, vegasparunity.com. Right.
Good opportunity to meet them face to face and get to spend a little bit of time with them, and see if your energy vibe kind of works with them. because and not every single psychic medium is the same. So it's not a cookie cutter type of thing. Every psychic medium has their special abilities and has their own persona. I mean, they're all human beings, so that'd be a good opportunity to get out there and actually get to spend a couple minutes talking to them and see if you have a connection to them. Okay, so number 2, something wants to come in my house. I live in rural East Texas. That's as much info as I'm giving. The closest shop is a gas station general store a few miles down a long, mostly paved road, and my house is on a dirt road that feeds off the main road. I have about 2 acres of land that's divided between the field where we keep the horse, which is about 3/4 of the land, and the other quarter surrounding my house, essentially my front yard. Last night I needed to go out to my truck, which is parked close to the gate, about 200 yards from the front door. As I closed the door and headed back to the porch, I heard a noise behind me by the main gate. I snapped back and saw our horse grazing next to the fence that divides the field where he's supposed to be from the rest of the yard. I walked towards him to put him back where he belonged, and then realized the horse is in the large field. The horse keeps. Okay, hold on a second. I walked towards him I walked back to put him back to where he belongs, put him back, then realized something that made my spine tingle. That's what I missed. And the hairs on my neck stand. The gate that keeps the horse in the large field is closed with a lock, and in the field by our pond, my horse is grazing. I turn to the other horse and stare it down, petrified, unable to move. It must have realized I noticed my actual horse because it smiles, not in the way that horses show their teeth, but like a human-like smile, and raises its head to stare at me face to face. It starts to charge me, and I run to my porch and to the front door, closing it behind me. My family's in the living room watching TV and start to question me. My mom concludes that I'm playing a prank and goes for the front door when something starts pounding on the door, huffing loudly. We all run to the kitchen, spooked when the noises stop, and suddenly the back door is being pounded on, shaking the whole house. For a few moments, the noises stop, then a huge thud is heard on the roof. My mom assumes it's a person trying to break in and calls the police. The police arrive maybe a half hour later and find nothing. We do our best to sleep, but obviously are unable to. The following morning, my brother and I go to feed the horse when we notice hoof prints in the front yard, though chillingly at some point it goes from 4 hoof prints to 2, which means that this thing was walking on 2 feet. I have no idea what this could have been, and I'm dreading tonight. I would appreciate if anyone would know what the hell this could have been. East Texas, right off the top of my head, I'm going Skinwalker. Would make sense. I don't know why it's there. Not sure. I don't know if it has a reason to be there, but I would say the fact that it manifested into an animal, which it didn't say if it looked like your horse, so I'm assuming it was not identical to the horse that you have. But I would say that you've got an unwanted guest on your 2 acres in East Texas. And if it's a skinwalker, which very well could be, it would make sense as to how it's able to move from the front door to the back door quickly, how it's able to get to the roof. It would totally explain going from 4 hooves to 2, and the ability to walk upright. Although that would have been a disturbing sight to see, the full-grown horse walking on 2 legs through your yard. That would be disturbing to see. But I would say if it happens again, or if any other weird stuff happens again, I would seek out a Native American shaman as quick as I could. And I would get them over to the property and see what they tell you. And if they suggest a blessing, I would do a blessing. It's about all I got. Thought this was a strange one, though, just because it was the horse and the way it smiled. And, if that happened, I could imagine that would creep the hell out of you. Like a human smile on a horse, and you only own 1 horse, and now there's 2 in your yard, kind of thing. So,
I'm actually surprised that the kid, the guy, talking about his mom. So he's obviously over 16 because he's got a truck.
Yeah,
but still living at home. I'm actually surprised, being from East Texas, that he doesn't have a gun on him and then he just shoot the horse in like the face or something. But we all make mistakes. I
was surprised by that too, because when it said a half hour for the cops to get there, I was like, a half hour. I'd have been outside with my rifle. Who's on the roof? East Texas.
Yeah, there. No, I don't know the answer to this because I'm assuming that a lot of people would believe that they are one and the same, and then the other set of people who would be like they're two completely different things. But either yes, a skinwalker that definitely came to mind, or just a shapeshifter. Like I said, I think a lot of people would probably put them both as the exact same thing, just synonyms.
Right.
But who knows? But yeah, definitely shapeshifter, skinwalker. The only other thing that it could possibly be is some sort of spirit who has some major ability to control and to manifest and do whatever it needs to do. But the basic sense of that it still walked away and not just disappeared leads me to believe definitely living, like alive, and able to change. Why it's in East Texas, no idea. Why it's at this farm, no idea. Definitely agree with you. I would get a shaman out there, or at least talk to a shaman, or an elder in the local tribe, and see if they agree. Yes, this could be something from our native lore or something like that, and how best to go about getting rid of it, or at least protecting your property. Honestly, I think though that it just because of the way he described the smile, just seems like this thing was there to really just scare the living piss out of him.
Yeah.
And then once that was once that mission was complete, walked away. I don't think it actually had any actual intent to hurt them, or that would have, while he was over there, like pretending about to feed him or whatever, would have attacked him right then. And so just the banging on the doors, the jumping on the roof, and then walking away, I think the whole thing was just to scare the living crap out of him. So,
or it's the start of something.
Well, I mean, we'll see.
It could be right. Exactly.
We only have this one story, so
right. I'll keep my eyes open though for this one. I'll tag the poster and then see if it comes back up.
Yeah, I think that'd be interesting to hear if it's an ongoing issue.
What do you think the possibilities of some type of alien manifestation in this instance? I mean, I still think it's a skinwalker, but for some reason, alien just popped in my head, so I thought I'd throw it by you. You're in rural East Texas, right? Because the way he describes it, there's like nothing there. So I'm guessing it's out like in the middle of nowhere. Even though he's only got 2 acres, I'm guessing it's just open, barren land everywhere around him.
Well, the interesting thing is as you were going through the story and you got to the, banged on the doors and then jumped on the roof, or all of a sudden there was a thud on the roof.
Yeah.
Right away, my mind was like, aliens from Signs. Like that was.
Yep.
But I'm like, because the fact that it was a horse previously, and then obviously the story goes on to walking on 2 legs, I kind of just dismissed the whole alien thing, because as far as I'm aware, and they could definitely be changed now, they don't shape shift. Like, but do they have some sort of holographic technology that we don't know about? It's aliens, but I really I would really like to stick with like shapeshifter and skinwalker.
Yeah, I'm going that way too. It just, like I said, it just popped into my head, so I thought I'd throw it out there. The whole smiling thing to me, it does not say alien. That says something more Native American trickster. Agree with you on the like scared the shit out of them. Something like that. So, like I said, I'll tag it and see if anything else shows up, and then we'll do updates on it.
Okay. Number 3 is my mom and several other people all confirmed this weird thing my deceased grandmother did. Okay, I like that. Especially the word mum. You UK people, you talk so weird. All right. So I'm from Pendle in the UK, where the Pendle witch trials happened. Pretty much everyone around here always says I'm related to a Pendle witch, similar to the my granddad was the boxing champ in the army kind of thing. My dad actually boxed in the Navy. So, hey, there you go. Anyway, my mom has always said my deceased grandma claimed we were relatives of Alice Nutter, a Pendle witch, and that my grandma had some kind of witch like powers, which she called the EBGBs or something. My mom recalls the story of when her and several friends wanted to do a Ouija board session. However, my grandma was strongly against this, so she told my mom's friends to sit down with her at the table without my mom. And apparently, they came out as pale as a ghost, ignored my mom, and refused to talk about what happened ever. This is where it gets strange, of course, because everything else is run of the mill. My mom's best friend from back then is a regular visitor, and so I asked her about it. She looked absolutely traumatized and said, "Don't talk about that ever again," and then stormed out. My mom maintains that she somehow terrified them and told me to stop obsessing over it. I just don't understand what could have happened. I've researched Ouija board origins, and they're total rubbish. Just a board game with no great historical origin, etc. What's also very weird is my mom said I might get the gift. And since she said that I keep making correct wild guesses, like my partner said, guess how much my mom weighs now? She's doing a weight loss program. And I said 11 stone, 13 pounds. And I was absolutely spot on. 11 stone. Okay, don't know what that means. When we went food shopping, my partner said, "How much do you think it came to?" I said 87.29 pounds. And it was exactly that. Do you guys have similar experiences? Of course, I don't think I'm a witch or magic or whatever, but I can't find a reasonable explanation. Now, I'm not claiming here that I have any sort of powers or anything like that, or kind of like this person, but there are a lot of times when I too make very good guesses. Usually it's about time. Like there are literally probably far more often than not where, I'll get up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom or something like that. And I'll just be like, it's got to be like 5:10 in the morning. And then I'll go back and look at a clock and it's like 5:12. So, I mean, I've done that too. I think it's all a natural psychic intuitive ability. Maybe you're connecting into something. Maybe your spirit guides are giving you the right answers. I sometimes have that too. I don't usually use it for specific things such as how much does this person weigh or how much does this cost. But I definitely think that it's a normal thing for people to do. I just think you have a heightened sense of intuitive abilities. It doesn't make you a witch. It doesn't mean you're magic. It just means maybe you're more in tune to the energetic universe than some other people, or in different ways. Now, the whole thing
Could be
about
could be bloodlines though. Could be bloodlines because they say that it jumps a generation. So if grandma was able to do these EBGB type of things, mom can't.
her grandma, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Then daughter gets it type of thing, or mom has it a little bit, but then daughter gets it. Not that she's a witch, but that it sounds to me like she's sensitive.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I completely agree on that one. Now, what the grandmother did, I'm pretty sure, I don't know necessarily if there was a Ouija board actually involved, but I'll bet you there was probably some table tipping, maybe. Something where they noticed something that they did not expect to happen. And scared the living bejesus out of them. If anything, I'm almost wondering if the grandma did something like made the table tip and then said, like, if you ever talk about this again, the demons are going to come and get you, or, something along, lied, pretty much to scare them straight, for a better term. But Yeah, I definitely think that the writer of this has a higher sense of intuitive abilities, which again does not make her a witch, does not make her crazy, does not make her weird. It's just something she's able to do, and all the more power to her.
I my gut is telling me that Grandma conjured something up. Like she didn't do the Ouija board because she was. It says she was strongly against it, and so she wanted to do something else. So it could have been table tipping, but I get the feeling that she actually like made something either appear or disappear, or I don't know, like something. If okay, so if this was me, I'm going to put myself in the situation here. If this was me, everybody who was in that room, I would not give them a moment's peace until I found out exactly what happened. Like I would be at their house, I'd be calling them all the time, I would be disturbing their breakfast, I'd track them down at work. I would just berate them until they actually came clean, because I would want to know, and for somebody to tell me, just be like, "Oh, I don't ever want to talk about that again." Whatever, you're an adult, get over it. Talk about it. Tell me what the hell happened. Um, that goes into my insatiable thirst for finding out stuff. It goes hand in hand with me to be the first 100 people to sign up for the government. Doing their first session of truth and telling us exactly what's going on. So I could not let this go. I think I think that there's a good chance that Grandma maybe was practicing witchcraft. I mean, if she's got this thing she calls the EBGBs or something like that. If Grandma has a name for her ability, there's a good possibility that she has an ability, I guess is where I'm going with that. Like she can do something. If she's going to name it, she could do something special that other people can't do. So, maybe it was just table tipping, but I don't know. I just can't see, like, if I was at a table tipping session, I would think it would be cool as hell. I wouldn't be traumatized and like never able to speak about it again. So I think it has to be something more than that. As far as this person doing research on Ouija boards and finding out that they're total rubbish, yeah, that I don't know that that's the best attitude to have. As long as that keeps you away from them, that's perfectly fine. If that's how you want to address it and be like, yeah, they're total garbage, they don't work, it's a waste of my time, I'm never going to waste my time playing with one. I'm behind you 100%. You're right. They're total rubbish. Don't even waste your time. You're well above that as a human being. There's no reason for you to lower your standards to go play with a Ouija board. So that's what I would say to that. And as far as the coincidence thing, you're right, because I do the same thing. I wake up, I can tell you what time it is without looking at the clock. I wake up to pee in the night. I'll be like, yeah, it's probably about 3:12. I'll look over, it'll be 3:12. Not that long ago, I was standing there talking to a lady in the grocery store parking lot of Coburn's, and I just pointed out to her, I said, your tire is really low. Your front tire is really low. And you could see that it was. And she's like, really? And she's standing there looking at it like totally oblivious to the fact that her tire was really low. And I'm like, yeah, I would get it checked out and stuff. And so she says, well, I have a gauge. And I said, okay. I said, well, you want me to check it for you? And she's like, sure. I said, it looks like it's at about 9 pounds. And I checked it on her gauge and it was at 9 pounds. So, and that was like a week.
That's really,
little over.
That's really low.
It was low. Well, you could see it because you're supposed to be at like 30, 36, 38,
32,
whatever.
32.
Yeah. I mean, my SUV tires are set they're supposed to be 45. So I think it just depends on the type of car. But she had a minivan and you could clearly see that this thing was like this tall. You know what I mean? And it wasn't like a low profile tire. And I'm like, you might have a slow leak. You don't want to get stranded. Fall weather's coming, rain, cold. I'm not going to use the S word. I refuse to at the moment. But
it's fair.
Rain and cold, and you don't want to be stranded someplace. So yeah. So anyway, so she thanked me, and she's like, "Oh, I'm going to go get it checked out." And so hopefully she did. But I think that's common to people who are in tune with it. Like you said, I don't claim to be a psychic, but I've had more than my fair share of like doing things like that and being spot on. So for what that's
The
worth.
the only thing, so I want to go back to your first point about the grandma in that session. I don't think she conjured anything, and here's why. Because I think if she had actually conjured something, it wouldn't have simply been like they walked out of the room and refused to talk about it. Like, you would have heard screaming. They would have booked it out of the room. They would have. So I think whatever happened within their threshold to be able to understand and tolerate it, but not so much that it like blew their mind. And I honestly think that we're probably looking more at like the Winchester Mansion type thing, where it was more of a warning. Like, if they ever did this again, if they ever tried to do it, if they ever talked about it, like, this stuff would happen. And so they're like, we're never talking about it again, because I witnessed magic or whatever happen, and I never want to see that again. So I think I don't think she
So you
conjured
think it's
anything.
more like a warning from grandma?
I think
Like
it was
you're
more
dabbling into something that you shouldn't dabble into, and here's why, and then put a little fear in them.
right. I think it was one of those. Let me give you a little taste of what you may encounter.
Yeah,
by
that's what
doing
I
this
thought
stuff.
too. Right.
And then exaggerated the living hell out of it to scare them straight. Is what
See,
I,
now
what,
that
what I
makes
think.
that makes me even more interested now in finding out what the hell she did. So,
Yeah, right.
you know,
But that's you. That's
right,
you. You're a very, very curious and nosy person.
right.
So, of course, you and me and the people, like us, want to know what's going on. But people like them might not care. Oh, you don't want to talk about it? Okay, I'm going to go on with life. I'm sure you have a good reason.
Yeah, I can see that. People just want to let it go and not get involved. So, okay. Shadow person is number 4. It says, "Hi, I'm not sure if this is the right place to post this, but I need some advice. I woke up in the night last night and was totally paralyzed apart from the fact that I could open my eyes. And there was a shadowy figure was walking towards me from my hallway into my bedroom. I live alone and sleep with the door open. The figure was about 4 feet tall. I couldn't scream or move for what felt like about 10 seconds, after which time I was eventually able to sit up and the person was gone. Can anybody share any resources on types of shadow people or even psychological reasons why I might have had this experience? Many thanks in advance." I'm going to say that this is a fairly typical, true experience of sleep paralysis. I see sleep paralysis misused. Trust me. Like I said last week, I read at least 100 stories to try and come up and find good ones that I think are relevant, that are going to have a topic that Mike and I can engage on and give advice. And sometimes the story is just a catalyst for other advice to come, or other personal experiences that we can share with you guys. I feel that this is truly like somebody's first experience at sleep paralysis. Makes total sense. Their eyes are open. They're unable to move their body. That's what sleep paralysis is. And then your mind is hyperly active, and it's trying to discern what's going on in the surroundings. And I can't explain to you exactly. I don't know the exact reason why. I'm sure there's a psychological reason for it somewhere in some journal. But it's very common to see shadow figures or people or something sitting in your bed, hovering over you, standing next to you, standing in the corner. Those are all common stories, common things that happen. The thing that I found interesting with this was that the figure was 4 feet tall, about 4 feet tall. Because most times when I have seen stories about like sleep paralysis and shadow figures and intimidating type of things, they're always like, it was like 7 feet tall, 8 feet tall, 9 feet tall. It was humongous. It took up the whole doorway. It took up the whole corner. It always seems to be gigantic. And so for it to be small kind of caught my attention. I don't know why. I don't know why it was small. I don't know if maybe this person's just a really horrible person at approximating height. Maybe it was 6-7 feet tall. Maybe they just don't understand that, and or their brain didn't process. I don't know. Can't explain it. But I think that this is a true episode of sleep paralysis, and like an early sleep paralysis. Like this is their first experience. Stress, big reason why. Stress is a catalyst for sleep paralysis. So if you're having sleep paralysis, try and identify what's stressful in your life. Try to resolve some of that stress or remove it if you can, or get help. Go talk to somebody, qualified therapists. They're there for a reason. And as far as psychological reasons, like medical reasons, I don't know. I'm sure that list is big, that sleep paralysis can be a side effect. I'm sure there's medical reasons and psychological, brain disorders as to that happening, but that's not my expertise. So.
Yes, you should never take medical advice from Dave or myself. Just want
No.
to put that out there right now.
Exactly.
I seriously though, Dave, I thought for sure when you were talking about like the 4 foot tall shadow, that when you said, maybe she, and then you went on, maybe she just is poor at judging height or whatever. I thought for sure you were going to say maybe she just has a poor imagination. Like maybe she just doesn't know how to create a shadow figure that big. But you didn't, so good for you.
I didn't. Right. That would be kind of belittling when I'm trying to give advice.
But so yeah, again, the one thing that you did not mention, which goes right along with this, is the old Hague syndrome.
Yep.
And with the old Hague syndrome, they're going to be 4 or 5 feet tall. So who knows? Maybe it's just one or the other. Maybe it's like the small figure of the old Hague in quotes, and then or the big monstrosity of a shadow figure. Either way, I fully agree with you. I think this is textbook sleep paralysis, and obviously it's not paranormal in any way, shape, or form. It's medical, it's psychological, it's emotional. So that was her one of her questions: resources on type of shadow people, or even psychological reasons why she might have had this experience. So I definitely think it was more of a psychological thing than shadow people. So I guess just leave it there. Unless you have anything
I
to
would
add.
agree. No. I was going to say I'm going to tag this one too, though, and see if there's any follow-up posts to it, because I think that this is a first experience. Because she's not even sure like if this is the right place to post it, but it sounds like she's seriously looking for some advice. And is confused as to what happened to her. And I've had sleep paralysis. It's not fun. I haven't had a lot of episodes of it, but the ones that I've had, it's not fun waking up and not being able to move. It's a scary thing.
Yeah, I've never experienced it. Again, perfectly all right with this fact. Can live my entire life and not experience sleep paralysis either. In fact, maybe for the rest of the show, we should just see of how many things I'm perfectly all right not experiencing.
Did you do your Dr. Seuss poem or rhyme or song or whatever you were going to do?
No, I'm busy. I'm gonna do it. I just haven't done it yet. I just haven't done it yet.
Well, you said you were going. It's the only reason I asked is because you said I'm going to do it next week, and then you didn't, and then you said last week I'm going to do it next week. Right. So just following up.
So I know
sometime before the new year, right? Let's say it that way. Sometime before the new year, Mike is going to debut his Dr. Seuss rhyme.
Exactly. In fact, I'm even going to write it down. So give me a second here. Dr. Seuss. So now that I've written it down, I remember like 700 times more than I would have.
I do too.
So
yeah. I write stuff down. I remember it too.
All right. Next story. Number 5. Mambo number 5. Girlfriend got a phone call from me. And I don't mean me as in Mike. So don't think that this is like a leave my girl alone type story, though. Although if you found that on Reddit, I would want it on here. Okay. Earlier today, I wanted to get out of the house. It had been raining here for almost a week off and on. So once I saw it was going to be sunny, I decided we should go to the beach. I left my phone behind, which isn't unusual because I have a habit of dropping it at the beach or on hikes. This comes up later. We get to the beach and park, and I see a dog in a car parked near us, and I call to my girlfriend to show her. As she approaches, her phone rings, and I see on the caller ID my name and number. She asked if I pocket dialed her, and instinctively I reached for my heaviest pocket, which had my wallet in it. But I remembered I left my phone. I stopped cold and tell her my phone is on the couch at home. She picks up and hears a deep voice speaking through static. I have a very deep voice, but she told me she couldn't tell who it was or what it was saying before it hung up. She calls back and it rings twice and goes to voicemail. Oh, you got ignored by the ghost. Oh, this is textbook ghosting right here, baby. This is literal ghosting. I love it. I'm freaked out now because when we first met years ago, I had just moved to this town and I saw myself on the street jogging. I ended up chasing this person but couldn't catch them. I kept yelling, trying to get their attention, but they just kept going, putting more and more distance between us. I stopped and some nearby people commented on my twin I was racing. This further cemented what I saw. It was 100% was me I was chasing. Now this. When we got home, my call log didn't have history of a call outgoing or the calls she returned. I like this story.
Mm-hmm.
And I like it so much, I went into sing-songy voice mode.
You did. Yeah.
Like I said, this is like literal ghosting. She got ignored because I was actually just talking at the office with Lauren about this today. When it rings twice and goes to voicemail, you got ignored. You got sent to voicemail.
Right.
So I guess I'm going to go on the assumption here that this person lives alone. Because if it obviously has a roommate, then it's too possible that this person was just trying to mess with them. But I don't know.
Yeah, because there's a thing at the bottom here. It says edit. Oh, and we should add, we live alone and no one has keys to our place. No one could have made that call from my phone. So he lives with his girlfriend and they were together and nobody else at the house.
I did not see that this went on. My bad. Yeah, they live alone. No one has keys to their place. No one could have made that. No one could have made that call.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
it sounds like he and her live together, boyfriend, girlfriend live together, and at the just the two of them.
Right. So I think that this is probably, I mean, it's the holy hell of it, but it almost to me sounds like a time slip of some sort. That not only before, when he first moved there, did he chase himself, but couldn't catch it.
Mm-hmm.
And the first thing that came to mind, I guess, to me was not so much doppelganger, but so much, wow, your future self is in so much better shape than you are right now. Because you obviously can't catch yourself.
You can't catch yourself. You out of shape bastard, you.
Yeah. So, I mean, if it was me in this situation, I'd just stick my foot out and trip me. I'd never see it coming.
I'd throw a stick, have it fall right in between their legs, face plant onto the asphalt, and then I'd slowly walk up to them and grab them and be like, where the hell were you running to? Yeah, 100%.
Exactly. Yeah, I don't know why. Maybe it's the area that they live in or whatever, but they seem to be some sort of a time slip here where they're seeing either future events, and maybe the phone call was a past event that suddenly, you know, happens.
I wonder if I'd be interested to find out like what town this is, because I wonder if like other people are experiencing odd things, like time slip type of stuff, like seeing somebody, not necessarily themselves even, but like seeing somebody, like their wife or their mom or dad or brother or sister, let's say, and they see them doing something, and then they're like, yeah, I saw you at the beach today. I called your name like 5 times and you never responded. Was something wrong? And they're like, nah, I was at work all day. I wasn't at the beach. And, I wonder if other people are experiencing, like, this location has some sort of weird activity going on, I guess is what my point is.
Right. And I think it's almost got to be, I don't think it's necessarily him. It might even just be their neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because
that's what I'm thinking.
It was at the neighborhood that he saw himself jogging. His phone was in his house, even though they weren't.
Right there at the beach. Right. Exactly.
Yeah. But the phone was back home.
Right.
So, I mean, I almost wonder if it's more of a neighborhood focused type thing that is going on there than them. Like, I think it's more of an environmental thing than it is.
Yeah, I think so too. That's my gut. That's what my gut says. Like the only reason they're involved in it is because they happen to be at that geographical location, and the odd thing was going to happen to somebody, and it just happens to be them. Like, I don't think that I'm with you. I don't think that it necessarily is them. I think it is geographical, location based. Veil open, whatever you want to call it, time slip, portal, vortex, something.
Yeah, sorry, I was reading the next story and having an aneurysm. So
I saw you fade off there. I'm like, are you still with us?
That was my soul desperately trying to escape me. All right, so.
Well, we got enough time to do the 6th story tonight, so.
And we would never go to break until that thing is done.
No.
Sorry, my nose is like itching like crazy.
So I think that my advice for this one would be it's location based. I don't think it's them. I think it's weird. You know what I mean? Like, I think it's weird. I think it's weird. I think it's weirder that he chased himself down the boardwalk and other people saw it and were like, that was a hell of a race you were having with your twin brother. Right. And so he's got witnesses to seeing his doppelganger or seeing a manifestation of himself. I think that's weirder than the phone call. Honestly, to me,
I would.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, the phone call's weird, I guess, but it's not who knows if cell signals can exist and somehow bounce or refract around. Who knows? And maybe some atmospheric condition was just right and the cell phone signal was bouncing around and it just happened to go to her. I don't know. But the manifestation of seeing yourself, I think, is way more cool of a story than the cell phone call. Besides, maybe it was under like a discount company or something. Okay. So, number 6. Milk Against Demons is the title of this story. I've seen in some horror movies, mainly Spanish, that milk has a positive effect against demons. And I was wondering if this is based on real life usage of milk in exorcisms or whatever. Watching The Old Ways, where milk is always being drunk, in Veronica, the demon takes over her movements, but as her sister drops milk on the floor, as soon as the milk touches Veronica's shoes, the demon releases her temporarily. So does anyone have info on this? I do. I've got some info on it.
I do too.
Hollywood. That's all I'm going to say. Hollywood. I actually, just for the hell of it, spent a little time looking up milk and demons, and there is absolutely nothing online about any type of milk being used in any type of exorcism or any type of cleansing or anything like that. So that is pure. This is pure. You are interpreting something that doesn't exist. So that's a nice way of putting it. I'm not sure Mike's going to say it quite like that, but you're getting lost in Hollywood and seeing something that is not real. So no, if you ever have a demonic experience, do not rely on milk. Rely on your faith and whatever your faith happens to be. So, all right, it's all yours, Mike. You got 5 minutes.
Oh my God. I don't even know where to begin. Okay.
Oh my God.
All right. I know the slogan is milk does a body good. Okay. Yep. Does not work against demons. It does not do demons good. Does not do the body good against demon. Like they didn't just like cut that off and be like, you know what? Let's just put the period after good and we'll just leave the rest of it off, you know, just to keep it under. Right. No, there's no secret to it. Milk does not work against demons. Milk does not work against anything except for osteoporosis. Okay. Let's just put it there. This person who asked this question, I understand. They're watching mainly Spanish horror movies. Stop that. You obviously should not do that ever again, period. I'm very, very close to just being your life is worthless and you should give up. Close, but not all the way there yet, but close.
That's horrible.
I'm sorry, but sometimes harsh things need to be said so that there's no misunderstanding. There's no gray area here, okay? Right. Milk does not work against demons, and you thinking so makes me sad. And now I need to add this to my Dr. Seuss book. So I have Ouija boards.
and milk.
And
demonic milk.
Ouija boards.
Maybe
milk against demons.
Maybe they're maybe demons are lactose intolerant.
That very well could be. I don't think so, but
I don't think so either.
Right. So, although I did say,
I think this is a young writer. I'm going to say that. I don't think this is like somebody my age. I think this is probably a teenager that's heavily influenced by what they see on TV from Hollywood.
All I'm going to say is I sincerely hope so. Because if it's somebody your age, my previous harsh comments come 100%.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would almost have to get on board with you if they were my age and writing this.
If they are a teenager, I understand they're impressionable. I'm just going to say this is a really stupid thought and you should stop having it immediately. If you're a teenager.
Right.
All right. Yeah. Water is actually like the universal liquid,
salt.
I guess.
Yeah.
Salt.
Right.
You know,
tar, water.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's still tar, water.
Right.
There's no such thing as holy milk. Okay. Not even from the bosom of Mary was there considered holy milk.
Nope.
So
I've never seen holy milk water in the Bible. Yeah.
No, there's no holy milk.
No.
So there you go. I have nothing else. So look at that. 5 minutes and 4 minutes and I got it in.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I left you 5. I figured 5 was a fair amount of time. You did a really good job. You got everything out in 4 minutes and like 32 seconds. So good for you.
I had about 4 things that really needed to be said about this person and I think I had 6 at the end, so that's good.
Right.
Anyways,
Pretty
all
good.
right. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. But that does it for our stories for tonight. So we are going to go to break here. And when we come back, we are going to be hitting the West Coast for the top urban legends. So we'll be right back. You are listening to the Odyssey Files here on the Iron Range Radio Network and the Cosm Network.
Hi, Tom Bodette. If you can hear me, then you have an internet connection, which means you can do cool things online, like listen to streaming radio, obviously, or watch a video of a monkey washing a cat. Let your freak flag fly. Or you can book a room at a great price at motel6.com. Isn't the internet wonderful? Everything you want right at your fingertips, and whoa, did not need to see that. I'm Tom Bodette for Motel 6, and we'll leave the light on for you.
Unexpected reactions to smart financial decisions brought to you by feedthepig.org.
Well, I finally did it. My student loan is totally paid off.
I can't believe it.
I can't believe it either. I paid more than the minimum each month, and soon enough, it was gone.
So you're just giving up?
Giving up on what?
The life of luxury. Egyptian cotton, caviar Thursdays, designer everything.
What are you talking about?
Our plan. What happened to winning the lottery and mastering the art of the perfect mimosa? Hosting galas, wearing enough jewelry to require a bodyguard, vacationing in the French Riviera, and then buying it.
I just thought maybe it was time to prepare for my future. You know, set some financial goals, make some smart investments, open a 401k.
Financial goals? Investments? A 401k? You are horrifying right now. Listen, if winning the lottery were easy, everyone would do it.
When it comes to financial stability, don't get left behind. Get tools and tips for saving at feedthepig.org. This message brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs and the Ad Council.
Northern Tool and Equipment.
So me and the boys head out to tailgate today and find some other fans in our spot.
Well, it happens.
Cheering for the wrong team.
Oh, this is war.
Even worse, they've got this couch set up and everything.
A couch?
Yeah, it's sectional.
All right, first thing, don't ever use the word sectional again.
Done.
Second, I want you to grab a 4,700-pound tow chain with J-hook and grab hammer. Throw that on the back of your truck.
Got it.
Now you're going to Hail Mary the J-hook over the end of that couch. Time to find a better spot for your new friends.
That should do it.
There's no problem a little horsepower can't solve. Northern Tool and Equipment.
Taking a family of 5 to the amusement park can cost a small fortune.
Oh, yeah. So to save some money, we thought, hey, let's bring the amusement park to us.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
All right. Step right up, young man. Are you ready to ride the wacky waterfall?
That's just the bathtub with the shower head running.
Nope, it's the wacky waterfall.
It's the shower, Dad.
Waterfall.
Wacky.
There's an easier way to save. To get a free rate quote, go to geico.com. Then buy online, over the phone, or at your local Geico office.
Green light. Hey, girl. School zone. I'm getting hungry. Car changing lanes. You want to meet me for pizza? Stop sign. Intersection clear. Yeah, street. Pizza sounds good. Ballin' Street? Girlin' Street!
It's hard to concentrate on two things at once, like texting and driving. Stop the text, stop the wrecks. How will you stop texting and driving? Tell us at stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Hey, this is Dustin Perry from Ghost Hunters, and you're listening to Dave and Mike on the Odyssey Files. It's not the best show you're ever going to listen to, but it's also probably not the worst.
And we are back. Welcome. I'm still your host, Michael O'Neill, and with me still is my co-host, Mr. David Soyring. So,
I'm still here.
You're still here. I do not look forward to the day when we come back and you are not.
Well, thank you.
because the suffering that people are going to have to go through listening to me for the next 60 minutes is going to be horrifying. Like Seventh Amendment horrifying. So, I mean, I guess I can read shit for an hour, but that's just boring.
That would be boring. Yeah.
All right.
I do have I have something you're going to love in this hour. So I'm not going to get into it yet. I'll get into it when I get to the state. But when you hear it, you're going to be like, it's not quite as good, I don't think, as Demons and Milk, but it's going to be up, but you're definitely going to smack your forehead. So
I don't know if I can take any more.
I stumbled upon it today. It's just, I just got to throw it out there.
The Milk Against Demons is,
that's a good one.
That was major. I lost 18 IQ points.
Make sure you take some milk with you this week, just in case, because there is that dark entity at where you're headed. So make sure you got yourself a saucer of milk, put it on the floor. Something starts going awry, just point to the saucer and be like, "You don't stop that shit, I'm pulling this out." Right? Yeah. Or pull it out of your backpack. You know.
Don't make me get the 1%.
Don't make me pull the skim out.
Yeah.
Seriously. You're lucky Dave's not here because he likes whole milk. Then you really get it.
All right. So I want to start this week.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because I want to start in Idaho. And what is that, the state you were talking about?
Yeah.
That is the state you were talking about?
Yeah. Yeah, seriously. So that's funny that's the first state that you picked that and you wanted to go first. So go ahead, man. Knock it out.
All right. We'll see. Did you have the jogger?
Yes. I got 2 of them for Idaho, actually. And then I got this really weird story that I want to just throw past you.
Okay. All right. Well,
so you go ahead and start. Yeah, you get the jogger.
I'll do the jogger, and then you can do yours for Idaho. Apparently, Idaho is really effed up. Apparently. So this is called the Phantom Jogger of Canyon Hill. And so this is in Caldwell, Idaho's century-old Canyon Hill Cemetery. Now, apparently, even though it has a lot of hauntings and stuff that are attributed to this cemetery, their big one is what they call the Midnight Jogger. And it's a her, even though I don't know how they can come to that conclusion, because apparently what you have to do to get her attention is you have to park between certain trees in the cemetery at night. And if you do that right, a legless, that's why I read it the completely other way around. I read it as 2 legs. Legless apparition will knock on your window to let you know that she's there. And then she'll just continue on jogging. Okay.
That is absolutely hilarious, I think. That would be fun to experience. She's just, "Hi guys, I just wanted to let you know I got another 3 miles to go. Have a nice night."
Exactly.
Okay, thanks, lady. Enjoy your run. Be safe.
So the site that I got this off of always has where did the legend come from, as much as they know. And I thought that it was absolutely hilarious what was written. I just want to read it verbatim, because there's no way that I could paraphrase this and still have it keep the perfect amount of humor to it. So the origins are unknown, shocker, though considering there's another conspiratorial legend that the entire state of Idaho doesn't actually exist. Perhaps the jogger is just a creation of a deranged and deceptive government.
Yep.
When I was reading this, I did not see that coming. I will admit, did not see the whole Idaho doesn't actually exist.
Exactly.
Part to
and
that
so
legend.
And so I looked that up, right? The state of Idaho. The case is open for debate. So this guy, the reason that they put that in there, this guy writes this whole paper, and I'm not reading the whole paper, but I am going to point a couple things out that you're absolutely going to love. The population myth. Do you know anybody from Idaho? Do you know anybody who knows anybody from Idaho? According to the 1990 census, there are over 1 million people living in Idaho. But if there are so many Idahoers, where are they? Some people have come forward and claimed that they were born and raised in Idaho, but every single person, and it's highlighted and italicized, every single person who has made this claim has been shown to have been frauds and charlatans. These Idahoan wannabes are invariably inconsistent with each other about the size of Idaho itself, about various towns and village names, and even about the names of Idaho's mighty rivers. According to traditional geographic sources, created entirely by people who believe in the existence of Idaho, and probably the Tooth Fairy, the state of Idaho is more than twice the size of Maine, Vermont, New Hampshire, Rhode Island, Connecticut, and Massachusetts combined. Isn't it strange that a state with such vast land resources has such few people? And even if you look at a map created by the Idaho-centric cartographers, the state of Idaho is dwarfed by its much larger neighbor, Montana. Recently declassified weather satellite information showing the entire continental United States shows absolutely no evidence that there is any state where Idaho is supposedly located. Noted experts in the field of interpreting these pictures unanimously agree that from outer space, it is impossible to determine the borders of this elusive state. Yet meteorologists and cartographers routinely overlay their satellite photos with the outline of a state that would seem to indicate that Idaho actually exists. And I'm going to end it with this. It is well known that Americans are woefully ignorant about geography, which is one reason why it is so easy to fake an entire state here. Not surprisingly, most of the effort to create the illusion of Idaho has been expended in the USA. But if you were to ask a typical Japanese or French schoolchild about what he or she knows about Idaho, you will usually just get a blank stare. People who are much better at geography than Americans have never heard of the great state of Idaho. And it goes on. But I'm going to leave it with the ask the Japanese and French school children about Idaho, because I just love that line. I thought that was hilarious.
That was amazing.
Yeah. I thought that was absolutely hilarious.
I loved every word that you just read. It was like poetry. It was one of the finest sonnets I have heard in a long time.
You're welcome. I thought you'd appreciate that one. When I looked at it, I'm like,
Lord.
My God. Yeah. No, that's that was interesting. If anybody wants the address for that, we can certainly share it. And you can read the whole entire thing. So my other one for Idaho, and we actually talked about this a little bit previously, not recently, it was a little while ago, but the water babies of Massacre Rocks. And the folklore legend is that along the river, that back in, I think it was the Shoshone tribe, it was the Shoshones, were first recorded here in 1805, but they were roaming the Great Plains as early as the 1500s. So it's not exactly sure date-wise when this originated, but there was a time when the Shoshone experienced an extreme famine. And the mothers of the tribe, instead of having their babies starve to death, they went en masse down to the river and they drowned their babies, figuring it was a more humane way or faster way so that they wouldn't suffer. Today, people claim that if you sit quietly by the river at Massacre Rocks, that you'll hear the sound of babies crying. Other stories, which I don't believe this, the babies grew gills and fins and survived, and now they seek revenge on their mothers by luring unsuspecting victims to their deaths in the river. That I don't believe. But there was and there is on YouTube, there's a Native American paranormal investigator that went out there and did a really good, like 30-minute program on water babies and like the folklore, the history, the Shoshone tribe. From the information that he presented, it certainly made a lot of sense to me, and it seemed like he did his homework. So I would not doubt that the story of the famine thing could be legit, and they might have drowned their babies there. And supposedly the spirits of these kids, these babies, are angry, and that they lure others to their deaths in the river by crying. And that's what happens. Like, they lure unsuspecting adults. All right, now here comes Dave's twist on that. There are no kid spirits in the river. But if something like that happened and they went down en masse, and let's just say that there was, a tribe, I don't know how big. Let's just throw a number out there, right? 50. Let's say that 50 moms took their babies down, or young children, whatever, down to the edge of the river, and they all walked in the river like simultaneously and drowned their kids. That is a possibility for something negative to feed off of that. And I think it's possible that something that could have created like a portal to a negative type of area or a negative entity. And I think that if you hear babies crying in the water, you should walk the other way. I wouldn't go investigate. I'm just saying, or if you do, don't get too close to the edge of the water. Because there's other things on this story, this legend, that say that people have died in that stretch of the river, and that, people have legitimately drowned. And there's people that swear that they've heard the babies crying and stuff like that. So, but you're going to have to find Idaho first. So right before you can just water babies. Right. So you're going to have to actually, when you get through Montana and all of a sudden you're in Washington, you'll be like, wait, what? What the hell was that? So yeah.
Actually, I think you can go to Washington through Montana, like without touching Idaho.
I think Idaho goes I think it touches Canada. It's a little tiny sliver.
No, I know it's got the little smokestack thing.
Yeah, like the little thing that reaches up. Yeah. Maybe. I don't know.
Does it? But does it though?
Want me to look it up?
No.
I'll tell you in one second.
All right. Well, I'm going to Wyoming while you are looking up whether Idaho exists or not. Now, the Platte River Ship of Death.
Yeah.
I love that name.
I do too.
So apparently in the wilds of Wyoming, there's a headless woman who haunts the lodge at Old Faithful.
Yes, there is. I've been there.
I have not. So, but there's also that's like their I think their most popular one. But the one that gets most overlooked is a ghost ship. Who, Dave, you and I have done an entire show on ghost ships.
We have. We didn't do this one though. I didn't know about this one.
I didn't know about this one either. Materializes out of spectral fog on the Platte River. Now, apparently, this cursed crew huddles on the deck of the old sailboat, and they surround a body. So, if an onlooker persists in looking, the corpse is revealed to be that of a still living loved one who will then die soon afterwards. Damn! Like, that's effed up. I guess curiosity killed your loved one. Apparently.
Yeah. I would agree. Two instances of that happening though.
What?
Because I looked that up a little bit. Yeah, in 1897 and in 1904, both people witnessed the ship and saw their loved one on the deck, surrounded by these apparition type of sailors, and within 3 days, both of their loved ones died. That's kind of where the story originated in 1897, with the first guy who saw it happen.
They don't even get the length. They don't even get the length of the ring. The ring is more generous than this ship.
7 days.
Come on.
Yep.
This one that I came across said that it was first spotted in 1892 by a trapper named Leon Weber, whose girlfriend died shortly after he envisioned her on the cursed deck.
Could have been 2. I thought it was 7. But yeah, interesting.
So legend has it that the last documented sighting that claimed to life was a lumberjack's friend back in 1903. There have been no official sightings since. Interesting. Wow.
I wonder what makes something like that appear and then decide that it's just not going to remanifest itself. You know?
Maybe it was completely made up to begin with.
Maybe.
I honestly don't know. But that's that's pretty crazy.
I know the other one that you mentioned at the lodge. I stayed there in the 80s, and I actually heard that story from like the curator of the lodge when we were sitting down in the evening time by the big fireplace they have there in the lodge. He was actually telling that story. And I guess it was a woman who like her dad wanted to hook her up with this prominent young gentleman, and she had fallen in love with like this older helper at Yellowstone, and he disapproved of the whole thing.
You wish.
Yeah, exactly. He disapproved of the whole thing. And he's like, if that's the path you're going to take, I'll leave you your dowry, but you're getting nothing else. Not a drop, not another penny. And she chose that path. She decided to go that route. Well, her husband took her dowry while they were at Yellowstone, gambled it all away, went and told her he needed more money in a drunken stupor. She told him that there was no more money. He got mad, killed her, choked her. Rumor is threw her in the bathtub and cut her head off, and then took her head up to the crow's nest at the top of the lodge that you can look out over the geysers and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And I guess that she has been seen countless times walking to the crow's nest with no head, like trying to go retrieve her body's not complete type of thing. And so she goes and she tries to put herself back together. From what the guy said, she's seen like frequently.
Okay. So I need clarification here.
Yeah.
So this woman fell in love with this hand,
like a helper,
this older,
helping hand,
this older helper, whereas her father wanted to
prearrange a marriage with a young, influential guy.
Right. And so she chose the older helper, and in return, she did not get. She only got the dowry, and that was it.
Yep.
Right. Okay. So she married the guy she was in love with.
Right.
And he then got drunk, gambled everything away, and then killed her.
Right.
Okay. I guess let that be the lesson to everybody out there. Love is going to get you killed, apparently.
Right. Or listen to your dad, because he's not a complete idiot.
Either one.
Yeah.
Listen to your dad. Love is going to kill you.
Right.
Either one works.
Yep.
So, wow. That was a poor decision on her part.
It was a poor decision on her part. Yeah. I don't think you can investigate there, but like I said, this was going back into the 80s, and the guy telling the story, I mean, I don't know if it's like, it could just be an urban legend that they're perpetuating, but as we know, if you perpetuate this story, even if it's not a real story, and you keep telling this story, it's easy to create some type of PK manifestation where now all of a sudden this lady looking for her head is actually there. Whether she was ever there originally or not is irrelevant at this point, because they've been telling the story to thousands and hundreds of thousands of people know it and have retold it. It's written. So I would say that it's happening irregardless of whether or not it actually did happen.
Well, almost.
It sounds like something. It does sound like something that feasibly could have happened, though. I mean, that is not out of line for some guy to get drunk, gamble away all of his new bride's money, and the dad obviously had some money, and to go back to her and say, "I need more money," and she's like, "I don't have any more. This is just a dowry." The guy's got a bunch of whiskey in him, and he gets enraged that there's no more money, and so he kills her. That does not sound out of place at all to me. I think that can happen. So
right, no, and just for clarification, my whole "love is going to get you killed" was a joke. Nothing better ever in the existence of the universe better than love. I would rather be killed by my loved ones than any stranger out there. Okay, just want to throw that out there. So
exactly,
and that is absolutely also not an invitation to my loved ones to attempt to kill me.
No.
Okay.
Right.
All right.
Right.
I'm locking my door tonight, Dave.
Okay. You're safe. You're safe with me, man. All right. So I want to hit this one because I love this story. We've talked about stuff like this before. Utah, the Escalante Petrified Forest Curse. Why it's creepy? Utah's legend is particularly troubling for tourists, as they might be taking the horror home with them, even if they escape the forest. With shocking regularity, visitors who have stolen chunks of petrified wood from Escalante Petrified Forest State Park will mail back their lifted souvenirs. All their letters detail series of unfortunate events, from broken collarbones, arms, and ribs to mysterious illnesses, horrific accidents, and financial ruin. The one thing they all have in common? They all occurred after the victim allegedly stole a piece from the forest. Oh, sorry, not allegedly. Screwed that up. They all occurred after the victim illegally stole a piece from the forest. So it says, like Mike had said, where it comes from, many people have and still do mail back cursed pieces of the petrified wood, and the park even displays the letters and samples openly as part of their attraction. Apparently, there have been cases of stolen wood turning into bad luck since the 1930s, although it's unclear of the actual root of the curse, which I thought was very interesting. The guy who works there today, like the curator of the park, says that he stated in park manager Kendall Farnsworth stated in 2014 that he gets about a dozen packages every year containing pieces of wood from the park and an apologetic letter detailing the sender's misfortunes. So let that be a lesson to you, as we talked about a few months back, not to think that it's okay for you to just take stuff from Mother Nature or from sites like this, right? Because that's kind of what we talked about, that whole thing with taking things that you shouldn't take and having bad luck.
I am actually shocked that this petrified forest is what is listed under Utah and not what is now called Skinwalker Ranch. Like, I would think that would blow the petrified forest out of the water when it comes to urban legends. I mean, you're talking everything. Like, you're talking like Bigfoot, you're talking skinwalkers, you're talking UFOs, you're talking spirits. Like, everything seems to be at this place, and yet they're talking cursed wood.
Right. I would agree. Skinwalker Ranch didn't come up at all. But see, I don't think Skinwalker Ranch is an urban legend. I think it's factually something is happening there. They've documented a lot of stuff. Weird cow mutilations. They've got actual video footage of UFOs appearing in the sky when they were doing their rocket testing. They've got weird lights that they've actually documented going from the abandoned homes. They've got weird lights that show up on the mesa. They've got beams of energy shooting into the air out of nothing. I don't know. When they were in the helicopter doing their tests, they had that something appeared underneath them, and they're like, it's only 20 feet below us, and they were 5,000 feet in the air at some point or something like that. They were trying to get up to 5,000 anyway, and they were thousands of feet in the air. And they're like, there's something 30 feet or 20 feet below us. It's registering on all the equipment. So, I mean, it's documented that there's some weird shit going on there.
Yes, there is. Still working on getting them on the show, but one of these days.
Yeah, be fine. I want to go to the location.
Well, we all want to go to the
Skinwalker
location
Ranch and just hang out. I know.
So yeah, well then all you need to do is go through like 12 years of schooling, get a PhD in astrophysics, and maybe you can get an invitation.
No, that's way too much effort.
Okay.
I'm going to get on Doug's case to get on Brandon's case to fly us into Skinwalker Ranch and then ride in on Doug's coattails because I don't mind that. You got to use your connections for people you know, right?
Well, that definitely sounds easier and would take less time. Yes,
I would agree.
But I think your odds though of being on Skinwalker Ranch are still the exact same.
I would agree, but it's a dream.
It is, yeah.
I mean, I would. That would blow my mind to go there because I just know something weird would happen to me. Like I would experience something that was just like jaw dropping, and it's pretty hard these days to make my jaw drop. It would have to be something pretty amazing for me to be like, oh. So. All right, what do you got, man?
All right, we're moving to New Mexico.
New Mexico,
and this is actually a cryptid that we have talked about before, and actually comes up in research of something else, and I want to see if you remember what that is. But first, New Mexico, everybody knows about the chupacabra. And who is this?
I love that word.
Rabid beast, right? Which it's either, is it native for bloodsucker?
It's Spanish. It's Spanish for bloodsucker. I think. Yeah, it's not Native American.
Right,
it's Spanish.
Okay, it's native. Yeah, it's Spanish for bloodsucker. I knew it was bloodsucker.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
Yep.
What? All right. So yeah. So apparently, it's the size of a dog, which is what I think a lot of skeptics call the chupacabra. Like it's just a wild dog, that it's no real cryptid, but it supposedly has, these huge spikes and glowing eyes that can, and these teeth and stuff that can suck the blood out of like your pets and your family, apparently. Even though, has there ever been an account of a human actually being killed by a chupacabra?
Chickens seem to be their primary target.
I was going to say, it's
chickens and then small house pets, livestock. Yeah, goats. Goat sucker. We've heard that term before too. Goat sucker. Goat sucker.
Goat sucker. Yeah,
that'd be my derogatory term. You freaking goat sucker.
That's what I call Tom Brady.
The goat sucker.
He's the goat sucker.
He did suck in last night's game. So
good.
There you go. You jinxed him.
Woohoo! That was kind of cool. I heard my woo through you.
Through mine. Yeah, you did. I heard it come through the floor. Must be through the vent.
Yeah, something like that. So anyway, the chupacabra. And but like a ton of people think that this is an actual cryptid, and that is a real, I don't want to call it animal, but like a real, like I said, cryptid. And it was first sighted in 1995 in Puerto Rico, and now is apparently like up here. Like it was in Central America and then Mexico, and now it's gotten into the U.S. But what's interesting,
kind of the American Southwest. Yep,
exactly. So, do you remember what we were researching and talking about when it talked about how the chupacabra was actually an accident? I want to see if you can recall this.
If it was an accident.
That it was
No.
an accident.
No.
It was
Not off the top of my head.
Our alien secret war. It was an alien experiment that was an accident in that they were trying to clean it up. Like they were trying to take all the chupacabras, and it was interesting because after we read that, I started to think back, and I'm like, when was the last time anybody has ever really seen a chupacabra? I'm like, I haven't seen a report in years of anybody seeing a chupacabra.
No, I haven't seen anything recent. No.
And so it was almost like maybe they finished. Like maybe they were.
maybe they collected them all back.
Yeah. Exactly, and they're no longer here. But yeah, so there was the book that we were talking about during our five part alien series that supposedly chupacabras were an accident that spilled over onto our planet, onto like the surface, and that they were in the process of trying to clean it up. And yeah, I thought back to the fact of I haven't heard about chupacabra sighting in years. So I'm like, oh, obviously they succeeded.
Well,
clean up on Isle, New Mexico.
I follow you there. I could get on that ship because we've talked about this many times. I think that the possibility that Sasquatch is alien, and that the reason that you don't find bones and the reason that they seem to be able to disappear with ease is because they walk from our planet. They walk behind a tree on our physical plane, and then they walk behind the tree and they walk in back to their plane, or back to their realm. And that's why you don't see them. They have the ability to be sneaky. I think that's and I know a lot of people will be like, no, they're an animal. They're just, like an elk and a bear. No, they're not. No, they're not. Sorry. There's just no way because if they were, we would have so much more information and documentation on them. So I can't get behind that.
An elk? Who the hell thinks Bigfoot is an elk?
No. Like an elk. Like they're just a big mammal, a natural occurring mammal. And I'm like, no. All
right.
Can't
Fair
do
enough.
It. All right. So I got to jump back to the, not necessarily Wyoming. It's kind of the American Southwest. But I found this great little thing on jackalopes. Jackalopes. You cannot talk about the American Southwest and not talk about jackalopes. So some experts say that the jackalope is an extinct antlered species of an incredibly rare rabbit, a cross between a pygmy deer and a type of killer bunny. Those who have seen them claim the animals are brown, weigh 3 to 5 pounds, and can move at up to speeds of 90 miles an hour. Allegedly, they are vicious when confronted and can perfectly mimic human sounds. This, combined with their speed, makes them impossible to catch. Because of this inability to catch them, in the 1930s, a gentleman who was a taxidermist found a dead rabbit and sewed a pair of antlers onto the rabbit's head, creating what he had seen and what others in the community had seen for decades. As a result, the jackalope has become a popular entity, leading Douglas, Wyoming to declare itself the jackalope capital of the world. I had to throw that in there. Jackalopes. 90 miles an hour, and it's a cross between a pygmy deer and a killer rabbit. That's funny. I never ever knew that we had killer rabbits in the United States or in any part of the planet Earth. Like, I don't know. I never heard of bunnies other than Monty Python. It's the only bunny I know that ever took out a human being.
I think all rabbits are killer.
Do you? You ever seen a rabbit take down a cat?
No, I haven't. I was saying,
No.
unfortunately, no, I have not. Although I think that I would be on the side of the rabbit. Like, I think that's justifiable homicide.
Decided the bunny.
I think that's justifiable homicide.
I can see how you would feel that way.
Go jackalope. So, yeah.
Go jackalope. That's going to be bad if all of a sudden now, like, the whole American Southwest gets taken over by jackalopes. You see them just hopping down the road with a chupacabra in its mouth. You know, a couple of cats. They just start showing up in mass, kind of giving the eye to all of the people in the American Southwest.
So,
look at the cute bunny, Mom.
Yeah, kind of like the Jurassic Park with that little, that one little dinosaur thing.
Oh, that little velociraptor. Oh no, I know the one that had the really beautiful fan that fanned out with the beautiful thing and then spit poison in his eyes. Yeah,
exactly. Like
yeah,
that. Like,
I remember that.
That's what it is. I think that's the jackalope right there.
There you go. It could be.
And cats. I think cats do that too. So
you think cats do that too?
I think, yeah. I think they want you to believe they're cute and cuddly until you're alone, and then they release their true form.
It could happen.
As crickets creak across the across the airways.
It could happen.
All right. So I don't think, I mean, especially if you were under the kind of the mentality that Skinwalker Ranch is not necessarily an urban legend, then right. I don't think Nevada's Area 51 can be considered that either, because that is a legitimate, real place.
I agree with you. That's why I wasn't going to mention it.
Right. Like, but it's there. I mean, I think it used to be because, you know, the government wouldn't even acknowledge its existence, kind of like Idaho. So,
right. I mean, for decades, now, they denied that the place even existed. Yeah. Even though aerial satellites and stuff shot pictures of it, they're like, nope, doesn't exist. Nope. I bet you there's some. So there's the dream tour right there, right? Head out west. First stop Skinwalker Ranch. Second stop Area 51, and at Mount Shasta. That is a perfect 2-week trip.
I wonder at which location you'll get shot first.
Well, it won't be Mount Shasta. You just disappear there. But I'd like to see one of the alien crafts that look like a lenticular cloud. Like with my own eyes.
Lenticular clouds exist.
Well, I know they do. They exist because they're camouflage for UFOs.
Oh, for crying out. No, they exist in nature. But I digress. Maybe California should be lenticular clouds. Well,
I've never seen a lenticular cloud.
Well, of course not.
I've seen pictures of them, but that doesn't mean that they exist. You could Photoshop anything you want. So I personally have never seen a lenticular cloud.
Whatever.
I digress. But I'm with you on Area 51, right? I saw that come up in the folklore, urban legend stuff too, and I'm like, no, you can't, no, because it's a legitimate place, right?
It is a legitimate place.
Right. So you can't say that it's an urban legend. I don't know. I think if you look up Nevada, I'm sure you could find a hell of a lot better urban legends than Area 51, which is not an urban legend at all.
The only thing that could even be close to being considered an urban legend when it comes to Area 51 is what went on there. You know, did it really harbor the alien bodies? You know, that sort of thing. And, you know, so I guess if the urban legend would have been alien bodies at Area 51, I'd be like, okay, that makes sense. But just Area 51, no, that is a legitimate place where they will shoot you if you try to go in. or near it.
I still wanted to see, a part of me wanted to see everybody who was going to storm Area 51 because they had the rights to know what's going on there, and they were going to storm that fence. And all the people showed up and they were like, yeah, we're doing this, man. We're doing this. I was just waiting until the first wave just got mowed flat down. And everybody else would be like, time to go home.
And you look down upon me for saying that the milk against demon guy needs to somehow disappear from reality.
I didn't look down on you.
I don't know. It kind of sounded like you were trying to look down upon my.
Nope.
My
I never look down. I never look down on you, and I don't look down on other people's ideas. You should know that, because I'm the first one that will tell you that it's not okay for us as a conglomerate group to tell other people that they're right or wrong about potential evidence that they experienced. So I don't look down. I don't look down on people.
I do.
I guess. Oh, I know you do. I guess maybe I have in the past, but I right, just the milk guy today.
And the people like him.
Okay, I'll give you that one.
I think that's justified. Just throwing that out there. All right. So
are you up or am I up? I'm up.
No, you're
okay. Okay, that's good because I got a beauty. Kansas. We're going to the great state of Kansas to Stahl's Gateway to Hell. This place, by the way, is voted, rated, whatever you want to call it, by a large majority of the paranormal community as the most haunted cemetery in the United States of America. So why it's creepy. The tiny town of Stahl has counted very few residents since it was founded in 1856. The most famous is rumored to be Lucifer himself, who some say appear at the town cemetery on Halloween and spring equinox. They say he uses the site where a roofless church once stood as a portal to and from hell. Some say that he's drawn to the site of frequent witch hangings. Others believe one of the graves actually contains Satan's own child. Either way, Satan's own child. Either way,
Santa.
Yeah, Santa. Either way, new graves continue to be dug, despite signs warning against trespassers, perhaps referring directly to the Prince of Darkness himself or the cults and Satanists that are rumored to flock to the grounds. And this is fairly recent. The first published article about the horrors are traced back to a 1974 article in the University Daily Kansan, though whispers about evil have persisted since 1900 or so. In 1998, the hanging tree where the witches were hung was torn down to stop people from visiting. It hasn't lessened the need for the small town to bolster an annual police presence to deter visitors looking for a glimpse of the devil himself. Voted the #1 destination stop to have an extreme paranormal experience.
Oh, Lord. The fact that we're voting on shit like that just shows you how far we've fallen and how far we still have to go.
I would agree. I've never been to Stahl. I wouldn't mind going out there. I mean, I might make it out there just to check it out. I don't think the people in town anymore are receptive, though, to people showing up. You know, because it sounds to me like it says the tiny town of Stahl. I'm going to imagine that it's, you know, like a little northern Minnesota town kind of thing. A couple hundred people, maybe 1,000 people, maybe. I can't think that they're going to be real receptive to throngs of people showing up.
It sounds like this is the exact same situation as the cemetery Great Cloud Island.
Right. Where all the residents like attack you when you show up.
Well, yeah. they you know, they're not even the ones who call the police. Like, they're the ones that go out there and be like, look,
right,
you need to vamoose.
Right. Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Fun time.
They take it in their own hands.
For anybody who doesn't know, Great Cloud Island is in the eastern Twin Cities area. And it has a cemetery, which is supposedly very, very haunted, but the residents out there do not like people getting into their cemetery in the middle of the night, and will make sure you know this. And
I know people that have been there and have seen apparitions of Native Americans standing on. It's right on the river, and they say that I know people that have been there and said that they saw apparitions of Native American braves on the riverfront there at the cemetery. So I've known about it for, I don't know, a decade or so, I suppose. Once I moved a little farther south of the cities, from when I lived up north of the cities, I was focused more on stuff that was up north. And now that when I moved down to kind of the southeast side of the cities, I found out about it, and I always wanted to go over there just to check it out. And then when I started doing research on it, I read that the people who live there will basically come out like with pitchforks and torches and chase your ass off. And I'm like, well, that's kind of, that's no fun when you want to go check something out and then somebody's getting confrontational with you. So I haven't gone.
I mean, yeah, that's a little 16th century. I mean,
that's a little medieval, going a little medieval on me. Yeah.
All right. Obviously cannot do the West without doing California.
Mm-hmm.
And this thing was titled "The Many Horrors of Turnbull Canyon." So apparently there's an entire canyon.
Yep.
And what do you know? The devil is supposed to be here too.
Yep.
Who would have thought?
Who'd have thought?
So basically, yeah. So this Turnbull Canyon is between LA and Whittier. Or is near LA, between Whittier and the city of industry. Turnbull is 49,000 acres. A smorgasbord of nightmare fuel sediment set amid the scenic hills. What writing? I love it.
I do too.
The natives call it Hutukagna. Sure. Or the place of the devil.
It works for me.
Where the ghosts of those slain for not converting to Christianity dwell alongside witches and Satanists who reportedly used the place to sacrifice children whose spirits now walk the canyon and dangle from trees. Wow. Okay. They're joined by the ghosts of 21 kids who perished in a plane crash back in 1952, allegedly. But there's no existing record of it. Shocker.
I'm kind of thinking the FAA documents plane crashes.
More than likely, especially in 1952, as well.
With a group of kids, yeah.
Apparently, there's an old insane asylum that came back to life. Okay, there's the remains of the old insane asylum that came back to life to kill a teen in the 60s via a long dormant electrical wire. So they're blaming the building for killing a teen. Okay, sure. I guess I can get behind that.
Maybe the kid was
0%.
peeing on the wall or something, being disrespectful to the building, I could see that happening. Kid getting high or drinking some beers and piss on the wall, and the building was like, that's not appropriate. And so it electrocuted his ass.
I could see Velisca doing that.
I could see a house come to life and do that if you disrespected it, or a building.
There are cults, alien encounters, gravity hills. Okay, what exactly is a gravity hill? Is that like where
you can float? Like there's no gravity?
That would be pretty sweet.
That would be pretty sweet. I could too. As long as there was a ceiling on it and you came down softly. You got to put a couple like, I don't want to rise 600 feet and then just all of a sudden be like, oh, okay, the ride's over. Oh, and then it's crashing back down to earth in a big pile of guts.
That would be hilarious.
No, that would not be hilarious.
basically, if it's something that gets under your skin, there's a story about it happening in a seemingly cursed canyon. I would think that at least 80% of whatever these claims are complete crap.
Bullshit.
Are made up and have no basis in reality. So the place's evil vibes date back centuries, Dave. So
I'm listening to you.
Until the site was established as a fur trapping site in 1845, that things started getting really intense, with word of the site's terrors traveling far and wide and making it a place visited as much for its beauty as morbid curiosity. Yeah.
I can see that. So Gravity Hill, I was wrong. A gravity hill, also known as a magnetic hill, mystery spot, gravity road, or anti-gravity hill, is a place where the layout of the surrounding land produces an optical illusion, making a slight downhill slope appear to be an uphill slope. Thus, a car left out of gear will appear to be rolling uphill against gravity. There are hundreds of recognized gravity hills around the world. So it's one of those kind of places where, you put the baby powder on the back of your bumper, and then, you go and look, and there's a bunch of kids' handprints. Or whatever.
That was San Antonio, wasn't it? Wasn't that the big one? It was in Texas.
There's one in Texas where like the kids got hit on a bus, like the bus stalled and the kids all got killed right by the train. And so if you put your car there, I remember that like they actually went out and like measured it. They got an engineer to go out there and do it, and it was surprising because when you look at it, it totally looks like it's going uphill. I mean, it's like that sucker's going uphill. But when the engineer came out, he's like, "Yeah, no, there's like a 13% slope." And I'm like,
"That was Factor
car
Fake.
Will roll forward."
Factor Fake
Zach
went
did
out there and did
Ghost Adventures did
Zach.
it too. Yeah, because I remember Aaron was putting the baby powder on the back of the thing, trying to see if it worked, and the car does roll. It rolls all the way across the railroad tracks, and it looks like it's going uphill.
Absolutely,
but
they
didn't
actually debunk it. They put that as part of their episode. I'm talking about Factor Faked went out there and they were the first people to actually debunk it.
Right.
And because they took surveying and all this stuff, and because that was when they did like 3 different cars, including a bus, like a school bus, and that still, went up over the tracks. She's like, I got to hit the brakes.
Right.
And but yeah, they found out that it was a decline, and so yeah.
So that's not as exciting as the gravity hill like that we were talking about. That's just an optical illusion, and there's hundreds of them all over the world. I want a gravity hill like we were talking about, where like you walk onto a platform and you get to like rise up in the sky.
Gotcha.
That would be
I
much
thought you
more
were saying.
cool.
Well, of course, that would be much more cool.
Yeah.
But
an optical illusion is not something I would drive all the way to the West Coast to see.
It is very anticlimactic. Yes,
it would be. Yeah, you get all the way out there, and they're like, "Look, you can leave your car in neutral, and it'll go uphill." Yay! No.
Hey, you know what? Before that actually became something and got debunked, people did it. They traveled far and wide to get their car to go up this hill. And
there's only one location I know of, and I believe it's Pennsylvania, and it's in a cemetery where you can put your car in neutral, and they've tested it, and it will actually go uphill. And they brought all the equipment out and everything and measured it, and it's actually an incline, and your car actually goes up the incline, and nobody can explain it. That's the only one I've ever seen that's happened to. All the rest of them that I know of have been explained. I'll look it up before next week's show. I'm making a note.
You do that, Dave.
I am. I'll give you the name of it next week.
Maybe I'll put Gravity Hill in my Dr. Seuss.
There you go. All right,
Gravity Hills. Gravity Hills. Don't be fooled by the Gravity Hills.
So before we take off, Montana had the Hitchhiker of Black Horse Lake, and there was one other one which I wrote down, which I don't see it now. But that was what my theme was. That was there was like 4 or 5 stories that were hitchhikers, that involved hitchhikers in the West Coast swing.
Yeah.
Is that what you thought
I
when you looked at it?
When I was just kind of scrolling down, I was seeing a lot of like joggers and hitchhikers and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I saw too. And I'm like, man, that's a lot of stories about people hitchhiking and shit. You know, running. I thought the one where the lady's like only the top half of her, and she just doesn't even try to hurt, like scare you or anything, just knocks on your window and she's like, hi. All right, a couple more miles to go. You guys have a nice night. And it just goes. I thought that's a great story. I'm like, you know, if you're going to have a paranormal experience, that's the kind of paranormal experience you need to have. Something that's weird, will blow your mind, but is pleasant, you know? And you just sit there and go, well, okay. She's running away with no legs, right? That would be pretty cool.
All righty. Well, that does it for this week in our 3-part series on urban legends from across the U.S. Come back next week. We're gonna get back into a bunch of weeks of really great guests. We have Chris Williams from Ghost Hunters, the original Ghost Hunters, Ghost Hunters International, here on next week, and then we have Jay Bloomkey, who was a producer and director of Ghost Hunters and a whole bunch of different other shows, and is now on Dark Zone TV. And then after that, we have Shane Pittman.
He's going to be great because he just got done doing the Conjuring House for their big Halloween event. So we could talk to him about like what happened there. So that'd be cool.
Exactly. And then from the Holzer Files, the week after that, we have Shane Pittman coming on. So yeah, we have a bunch of great shows coming up. More to be announced after that. Thinking more Vegas people.
Yeah.
I agree. We'll bring them on. So, all right. Well, that does it for us. Everybody stay safe, stay healthy. Want to see you back here next week. Everyone, have a great night.